How's it going, guys? Dong here. In this video, I'm going to talk about the 4 key concepts you need to get right in order to make advertising work. So without further ado, we're going to get right into it here. So before we get to what the 4 concepts are, it's important to know why this is important. It's important because, over my career, I've audited, you know, hundreds of different businesses, different ad accounts, and, I worked with a whole different bunch of clients, and over that lifetime, I've gotten clients that have gotten results, but I've also gotten clients that haven't gotten results. And it really made me really, really curious. It's like, why do some clients just seem to succeed? They get an awesome ROAS, while other clients can't seem to get off the ground, right? This question really, really puzzled me for a long, long time. And then, I did think a lot about it, and I realized that, it came down to these 4 concepts that I'm going to talk about in this video. That if you get right, you really have a good time, but if you don't get right, then it is a really big struggle for you to actually make advertising work. Because to be honest, anyone can, run your ads for you. They can push a bunch of buttons here and there. They can, drive some traffic to your web page, but the difference between getting very profitable, getting a really good return on ad spend, and really struggling off the gate, it comes down to these 4 concepts, which I'm going to talk about in the video. So, without further ado, we're going to get right into it. What are these 4 concepts? So, the first one is going to be product. Then we have audience. And we have our offer. Whoops. Gonna make that a little bit clearer here. And lastly, we have our funnel. Right? So let's talk about each of these in detail. So let's start off with the product. What is the product? What do I mean by the product? So, what is the product? Well, the product is, simply put, do you have a new opportunity? Do you have a new product? What problem does this product solve inside the marketplace, right? So, for example, a problem-solving product is, let's try to think of an example here. So, an easy example is, let's say you have some home garden products that really helps you to really save some time in order to cut your grass, for example. I made up that one by random, but that's just a simple product. Or actually, another version of it that I'm able to sell myself in the past was this like anti-anxiety dog bed, because a lot of dogs do suffer from, anxiety, and they just want a place to feel calmed, and that product really worked well because we had a really good product there. So question to ask is, what product, or rather what solution, does this product solve? And does this give? So a common question that I usually get is, I'm the apparel space, I'm in the clothing space. I can't really define this product part because I have no idea what my what my you know what my product solves, what opportunity does it solve. And that's a really good question, and it comes down to this. you know what really makes your product unique, that really stands out, that makes people want to be interested in it. So what makes your product unique or stand out? This is really, really important because, the marketplace is really crowded nowadays, and, a lot of people are now selling on Facebook. So you really need to get this part really right in order for you to really have a good time. Otherwise, what I found is people who don't have this concept in place, that have that unique product inside of the marketplace, really do struggle. So you need to really define, okay, so how do you solve this, for example? Define a niche. So define a niche. So for example, let's just say that you had an apparel business. You sell like women's dresses, for example. So what you could do is you could define, for example, a certain age range. For example, 18 to 24 women. Or what you could do is you could go after interest, if they follow a certain lifestyle, for example, van life. And that way, it really makes your job a lot easier because you know exactly who you're going to go after and how to create good material that really resonates with your market, right? I'm going to get into a little of this a little bit later on in this video, but just keep this concept in mind. So the next one we're actually going to go through is audience, right? So I'm going to put this in blue just so you can kind of follow along here. So for audience, the question is simple here. What audience is much more likely to buy your product? Who are you going after? you know, and it might not be very obvious, so I'm going to give you some practical advice here. So, for this part, what you really want to focus on are what are their interests? What are the pages that they like? Stuff like that. Societies are another good one. Influencers, who will they follow? And a particular way that you can actually go about and, you know, really define your audience is just to stalk your audience in on Facebook, right? So you see someone that comments on your post, for example, and you know that they bought from you based on the customer data. If you shop with Shopify, for example, then you can look into this and you can take a look at what are their interests. So you can stalk their profile, look at page. One of the benefits of doing this is, if you stalk them, you look at their page, you start to understand. You start to see, okay, so they're interested in this particular coffee. Well, why are they interested in this particular coffee? Maybe you do this for a bunch of people and you find that a common interest is something that you didn't even consider in the first place. So that's great. That's great insight into really understanding who your ideal audience is. So, now let's talk about the offer. Now, this is really important, especially a lot of you won't be dealing with the ad side of things, but you should really understand so you can go to your agency, your marketing person, and you can really communicate this. Not only will it make their job a lot easier, but it will also result in you having better performance. Even though you're on the design side, you're not interested in the marketing, it's still a really good idea to kind of understand the stuff so that you can communicate with your agency, and then you can really help them, you can really get them good results so that you can have a profitable business, you can help them grow their business, and pretty much everyone wins in this case. So offer, what is it? Well, simply put, it's the ad copy. It's everything that you do on the landing page to convince them to buy. So simply put, what you're looking for here is you're looking for, can I convince someone to click and buy, right? So obviously this is something that your agency deals with, but what's really important in this case is who your avatar is. So who is your avatar? So I explain here that age range, you know, what are their interests are, for example, like van life, for example. So what you could do here is you could really define, what is your target customer, and then start to define what their needs are, what their pains are. What really gets them tick. Attention, for example. So, why is this really important? So, I'm sure that you've seen the ads in your newsfeed, right? So, your typical ad in your newsfeed will typically do, hey, we're selling this, it's 50% off, all these like green ticks and whatnot. And then that's how you sell it. That's based on discount. And discount could be another offer. But the problem with selling based on discount is you tend to get the wrong types of customers. If you target discount people, then they'll probably come in on discount and they'll probably also buy on discount. So you definitely don't want to be selling to those particular people because it's just simply not a nice life. Now, companies like H&M, for example, or the dollar store have built successful businesses on the fact that, these are low priced items, they look good, they're reasonable, but they do tend to attract that certain type of customer. So you as a business owner really need to figure out what this particular offer is. And you really need to determine what their emotional offers are. Because the thing is, when you sell based on discount, it's very rational, right? So people are still thinking with their rational brain. So they think, can I afford $50? Can I afford this? Can I, does this work with my budget? Whereas if you sell based on emotion, then that's a lot more powerful. So when you sell based on emotion, you can sell at higher prices. And you can also, get better customers. So, what are some examples of some emotional pains you might be asking yourself? Well, that's a great question. Well, some things that are emotional are things that can't be quantified with numbers. So, numbers is something like free shipping, you know, the price, discount here, it has this feature and that feature. I'm sure that you've seen, for example, I'm recording this on a MacBook, right? It has a certain type of processor, it has a certain number of RAM, it is this light, but you don't buy the MacBook because you might buy it because it's thin and light, but you buy it because, you're getting a good experience for it. So, for example, Apple laptop, you buy it because it's a clean experience. You buy it because there's less bloatware. And most importantly, it looks good. That's the real appeal of it, right? And it's a status symbol. Because think about it, why do people spend thousands of dollars on Rolexes? It's just a watch and it tells time, right? But no, people don't buy it because, it's a watch and it tells time, right? You can buy like a $20 Timex for that price, but people buy it because it's a status symbol. And what this is, it's a Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? So the higher you can go on the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the more powerful you can make your advertising and, the higher prices you can sell it. So obviously, I'm going to show you what Maslow's hierarchy of needs is here. So what we're going to do, so as you can see here, so for this one, you want to make sure that you're selling based on up here, the love and belonging. I can't highlight this because I'm on an iPad here, but love and belonging or esteem, or the most powerful thing is self-actualization, right? So if you're selling, say, water, you don't really need to explain why people need to buy water or food or a house, but why people buy more expensive houses is because they're up here in, esteem, respect, oops. So respect, self-esteem, status, recognition, strength, freedom. That's why it's so effective. So the higher you can go on the Maslow's hierarchy of the needs, more powerful your advertising can be, right? So, talked about that. And another thing that you can do as well is if you can't quantify it with numbers. So, for example, let's take another example and we'll do Coke, for example, right? Coke is sugar water, but why does it sell very well? Good time with friends. That's the main appeal of buying a Coke, right? And that's really the message when they're advertising is, a good time with friends. And that's something you need to consider with the offer. So, and the last one is going to be funnel. So, funnel is very simple. It's very quantifiable. So, what is your conversion rate? Running out of space here, but that's okay. So, in other words, people will visit your website. Let's just say that all these are really good right now, but your funnel is a little bit iffy here, right? So let's say that you have like a 1% conversion rate, right? Then, if you improve that to 2%, then you're going to get double the sales. Assuming that everything else stays consistent, of course, but you kind of get the point here. So by increasing your store conversion rate, you can pretty much multiply the results and maybe even get from like unprofitable to profitable. So what I want you to do is I want you to rate all of these on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 to 5, 1 to 5, and 1 to 5. So why do you want to rate this 1 to 5? Well, that kind of gives you an indication of where you need to improve and whether you're ready for Facebook ads or not. Because at the end of the day, if the score is not high enough, you're not going to get profitable results. You're not going to get the results that you're looking for. And I recommend you to take these particular steps. So a score of 20 is perfect. You're ready to scale, right? And I have not seen any company that has come to me with a perfect score of 20, right? These are the type of companies that are built up to this point, but rarely have I ever seen a company that comes up to me with a score of 20 already. Now, most companies that are ready to scale are somewhere between 15 to 19. So these type of companies, they need, they got most of the stuff that needs improvement there, but maybe they need a little bit tweaking. And this is where an agency really comes in, and this is where an agency really sees really, really good results, right? And then you have a score of 10 to 14, which is focus on testing. So you're not ready to scale yet. You really need to make sure that you fix all of these, the product, the audience, the offer, and the funnel, before you can consider scaling up. Because the problem is, when you scale up at a score from 10 to 14, then you're gonna have a really hard time to really make advertising work, or it's gonna be really unpredictable, right? So a score of 9 and below is you are not ready to scale. Do not use FB. So, unfortunately, I have seen scores that are very low, that are under 9, and at that point, you really probably, in my experience, most people in this area need a lot of work on the product. They need a lot of work on the offer. Maybe need a lot of work on the funnel. Maybe the audience too. You know, but for these ones, you do not want to use Facebook because you pretty much at that point are burning money. So that's going to be the end of the video today. I hope this was helpful to you guys. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell notification if you want to be notified of any new videos that I post. And otherwise, if you're interested in my agency running the ads for you, make sure to book a time. I have a Calendly link inside of the ad description. This is Donald signing out. Thanks for watching the video.